All right, everyone, welcome back into another live edition of the Patriots Beat podcast here on the CLNS Media Network, presented by our wonderful friends over at Prize Picks and Game Time. It's Brian Hines back as always with Alex Barth. We are trying to time this up perfectly with halftime of the Sugar Bowl, which we pretty much nailed. There's 43 seconds left between Notre Dame and Georgia in the second quarter. We're going to talk about that game. We're going to talk about the three other games from the quarterfinals of the college football playoff. Tons of draft prospects. We'll talk about the draft with the Patriots sitting with the number one overall pick entering Week 18. But we're going to start. What are we even calling? Are we calling this a football game? Can you call Sunday a football game?
I mean, are you using the C word? Are we using calamity?
Calamity. I don't know if we can.
Well, that was the word, right? That was it. Was it in the Rappaport report?
Well, that's what could happen. I don't know. Could this one even get to calamity status if the Bills are playing the backup?
Oh, I thought we were still talking about the Chargers game for some reason. Yeah.
Oh no.
We're just calling this Week 18.
We're
18. Just calling this the NFL letting too many teams in the playoffs and playing too many games during the season.
That's fair. They set themselves up for this with Week 18.
Yep.
So there will be some element of football played at Gillette Stadium on Sunday. It sounds like the Bills, the starters will be playing very minimally. Like Josh Allen, he's got this record or streak of current starts. They want to keep that intact. So he's probably going to be out there, hand the football off for as long as their first drive is, and he's going to get out of there. And then most of their, backups, younger players for Buffalo are going to be out there. Patriots, they're saying they want to win this game. Gerard Mayo focus is beating Buffalo. If these guys are healthy, they're going to be out there. That includes Drake May, who has been on the injury report, limited with a right hand injury, throwing hand, even though he's looked fine when we saw him, the few days at practice. Joe Milton has taken some first team reps for the first time all year. So it does sound like Drake May is going to start this game, Barth. But what would your kind of plan be for the Patriots quarterback room in this game? Are you rolling with Drake May throughout the whole thing, or do you want to see a little bit of Joe Milton in the season finale on Sunday?
Well, let me start here. I'm glad Drake May's starting. I think this is the right decision by the organization. You know why? What do we want Drake May to be? Superstar quarterback. What do superstar quarterbacks do? They start games. That's why big part of the reason Jimmy Garoppolo was never won, because he had a problem. I don't know why I need to take a shot at Jimmy there.
Starting Week 18.
He is starting this week. We'll see if he finishes the game, but he's starting this week. No, in all seriousness, like you look at what the Bills are doing with Josh Allen, they're starting him because that consecutive game streak means something to him. It means something to them as a franchise. It's certainly something we talked up a lot about with Tom Brady when he was here. Peyton Manning has his game started streak. Now, look, some of this conversations, Drake May needs to take better care of himself on the field so he can have that streak. But wouldn't it suck if in like 5 years we have to talk about like, yeah, he started every game since he took over, except that one against Buffalo, blah, 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 right? Wouldn't it just be nice to say that definitively? And look, if it's okay for Josh Allen to do, what is Drake May's too good for that? And when I'm crediting the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, I feel strongly about this.
That's true.
I like that Drake May's starting because it sends the right message to the organization and the league. Drake May is a franchise star quarterback. He is going to be one of the faces of this league. Those guys start games, period, full stop. It's what Josh Allen's doing. And if it's good enough for Josh Allen, it's good enough for Drake May, in my mind. That being said, Josh Allen's going to, because people are probably yelling at me, well, he's a starter, he's going to get hurt. Blah, blah, blah. Josh Allen's going to play 3 plays. They're all going to be handoffs. He's heading off to the sideline. That's all I would do with Drake May, too. I like that he's starting for the symbolism of it. I don't need him playing a ton of real football. You want to mix in like a quick throw where he's getting the ball out of his hand in a second? Fine. I wouldn't put him at any natural risk, then I'd go to...
That's exactly what we saw him doing at practice today. They were doing those, and it was all 3 of the quarterbacks, but it was like a catch and immediately throw like a perimeter screen type of thing. So,
yeah. At that point, I'd go to Joe Milton because, one, they need to see what they have in Joe Milton. They're going to need a backup quarterback this offseason. If you can check that box that he's that guy, boom, you've checked off an offseason box before the offseason even starts. Touchdown Notre Dame. If not, you need a quarterback. The other thing is it's a showcase game. I've had a lot of fun this week, Brian, talking about Matt Flynn. Now, Matt Flynn was a free agent. He wasn't a trade piece, but he got a fat contract that offseason. Didn't amount to anything, but he got a fat contract. Let's say Joe Milton goes out and lights it up. Now you can trade him this offseason, or maybe you keep him as a backup and you trade him next offseason, and you turn that 6th-round pick into a 4th, or maybe even a 3rd. There's really no, this should be Joe Milton's game. Drake May should start, but this should be Joe Milton's game. We should see a lot of Joe Milton in this one.
Definitely. Yeah, I treat this almost like a preseason game. Like Drake May's out there. I agree he should start. I don't need to see much of him, but he should start. That sends the right message. That doesn't look like you're clearly tanking this game. And I don't want to say you're tanking, because what if Joe Milton goes out there and lights it up, right? But you do want to find out more about
let's
him.
also not just assume that because Joe Milton's starting, they're going to lose. Like,
I mean, they could lose outside, like they're deep, like they could get run on for 200
honestly,
yards.
the real ideal scenario is they win, but the Browns, Titans, and Giants all win, so they still get the first. That's the real ideal. If we're going to be somewhat realistic, the best case scenario to me is they lose this game. I'll use the Matt Flynn score, 45-41. Now, Matt Flynn won that game, and it's a little different because the Packers were in the playoffs, not on the outside looking in. But ideal scenario for me, they lose this 45-41. It means Joe Milton balled out. And all this kind of talk we've heard this week about it's lining up for Alex Van Pelt to be the scapegoat and Mayo and Covington might be safer. That's going to be not that it's not a tough sell now, but that's going to be a really tough sell coming off a 45-41 game.
Would it change your mind if if like you say, that's the ideal scenario? Does it change your mind if then we'd have to listen to people all off season say, well, maybe they should start Joe Milton next year because that one game?
I mean, that's going to happen. I actually got a call about this on the Sports Hub the other day.
There you go. See, it's already happening before.
No, somebody's saying they shouldn't start Milton because too many people in this fan base are idiots. No, because frankly, if he's that good, they're going to trade him and they're going to get something for him.
Yeah.
So no, it doesn't worry me. It would be one thing if Drake May had like a so-so rookie season, but
that's fair.
I think people, right? Part of the reason Zappy fever happened, it wasn't just Bailey Zappi. I think people were so desperate for any alternative to Mac Jones. By the way, Bailey Zappi is starting this week. How many former Patriots guys are there? Mac, Zappi.
I was just thinking when we were talking about Jimmy there for a second, our Prize Picks lineup this week should just be every former Patriots quarterback.
So it's a shame that they're not going to put Jacoby in, because you could have what a run you could have of those guys.
There's no one else there's no one else in the league, right? It's
playing. Jimmy. I mean, there's like Zach Robinson, Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
Oh, who's starting in Denver? Oh, they need that game. That's going to be Bo Nix.
It's Bo Nix still. Yeah, Stidham would have been something.
That could have been Stidham would have really fit in there. That would have been a good one.
But I would kind of treat this like a preseason game. Drake goes in there, he starts, gets a drive to maybe first quarter. If you want to offer Jacoby the second quarter, like, hey man, do you want to put any more film on tape? I doubt he would want to do that, but maybe you could offer him that and then turn it over to Joe Milton, because you do have to see what you have in him and some live game action. He hasn't taken a live snap since preseason, so get a better read on him. You might either want to trade him, boost the trade value, or you might just want to be your backup quarterback next year if Jacoby does hit free agency and go elsewhere. But I don't need to see a full game of Drake May. I get he's developing, but against the Buffalo backups, what's the most you're going to get from that situation? And then the disaster situation is if he gets hurt. And I'm not talking about like rolls an ankle or something minor, anything serious that he has to miss OTAs, or even if it's 2 months, he can't throw the football or anything that's going to intrude his development, especially, if Alex Van Pelt is not here and he has to learn a new offense and go through all those motions. That's the worst case scenario, and they have to avoid that at all costs.
And let me flip that too. Who would you rather they win with? Let's say they win, because they are playing to win, as they like the players and coaches should. Point of pride, playing for future jobs, future contracts. You don't want guys in the building that are okay losing. That's obviously important. What would mean more to the organization, a win with Jacoby Brissett or a win with Joe Milton?
If it's those two, Joe Milton, probably.
Right. Yeah. I'm saying, like, if you're not going to play Drake the whole game, it's Joe Milton. 100% it's Joe Milton. So all signs point to Joe Milton should play the majority of this game. Again, I'm not just okay with Drake May starting. I like that Drake May is starting, but That's pretty. I want to see him start to check the box for starting. That's about all I want to see from him.
Yep. And it does say, I think listening to Gerard, listening to AVP today, it does maybe seem like that's where it's headed, right? Like they all say Drake's starting. If he's healthy, they put that caveat on, and then he pops up on the injury report. And now, you hear Joe Milton taking first team reps in practice too. So I do feel like it's kind of headed that direction, that it's going to be Drake out of the gate. And then at some point they turn this thing over to Milton. So we'll see if that's how it ends up unfolding on Sunday. But again, looks like we might get some Joe Milton for the first time this season in regular season action. We don't really need to break down offense or defense. So let me just kind of open it up. Big picture, is there anyone else outside of that quarterback position that you're just kind of intrigued to watch? One more, not really a trial run, but one more run here, live game action to end the season. Offense, defense, just anyone else is kind of on your radar entering this one.
I don't know, because they don't have too many pending free agents. I mean, I guess John Jones and Dietrich Wise, but those guys are kind of veterans. They are what they are, and they've both taken a step back. I think there's a case to be made already that you're not bringing either one of them back. I'd like to say Jalen Polk or Javon Baker. I don't know if either of them are going to play even in this game. Like, they probably should, and even so, if one of them has a good game, I guess it's good. You get a little momentum going into 2025, but it's going to undo everything Jalen Polk, all the issues he had. And now we've talked about them being mental, so maybe it does help. But no, this is really just a get-through kind of game for me, honestly.
Yeah, and Polk hasn't even practiced.
I guess Caden Wallace would be the one.
Yeah,
Caden Wallace would be the one guy I kind of want to say.
Yeah, if he gets, it was 14 snaps in garbage time last week. So if he gets some notable snaps, and now it's not going to be against Sean Miller or Greg Rousseau. Yeah, if he's healthy enough to start, he should start over Trey Jacobs. But Polk hasn't practiced all week with that shoulder injury, so we might not even see him. That could open the door for Baker to play a little bit, which sure, it'd be intriguing to see a full game snap of Javon Baker, but what is that? Remember 2020, like Devin Asiasi had the big touchdown in week 18, and everyone's like, here we go. We might have a tight end.
That ended up being like half of his entire career production.
Yeah, well, that was probably like the only touchdown he's ever caught in his
career. I think he caught one in Cincinnati.
Let's see. No, he posted 2 catches for 5 yards, and it was more than half of his production. He ended with 4 catches for 44 yards and a touchdown in his career. That game was 2 catches for 39 yards and a touchdown. So that was about 90% of Devin Asiasi's production. It came all in that final game in 2020. So that's like, you'd love to see these guys have great games, but at this point, one game, like, what does it mean for the big picture? Probably not much. But maybe some of those guys like, Layden Robinson, Alex Austin, Zay Bolden, like, we have more of a sample size, one good game. Even like Alex Austin, if Buffalo's leaning maybe more on Keon Coleman, a young rookie to get more playing time, if he has a good performance, those guys who have a little bit more under their belt, it would be encouraging from those guys. Anything like, is this coaching this last stretch? Like, is there anything that you think could decide the fate of the coaching staff in this one? Or was that the Buffalo, the LA, those 2 playoff teams going back to back of those were like the last 2 final tests, and that's kind of over and done with?
Nothing positive. Look, I think if you get your lunch handed to you by backups, that's certainly not a good sign for a coaching staff that's already on the fence. But I don't know that anybody can save their job this week. I think they can lose it, but I don't think they can save it.
Yep. All right. So,
or at least they shouldn't. Like, I would hate if they look at a game against, the Bills' second unit and say, that's the proof we needed, right, to keep Gerard Mayo. That's the proof we needed to keep Alex Van Pelt, to Marcus Covington. That should not be, this game should not be a deciding factor. That's not to say the Patriots should have made their decision already. Like, take this week, make your decision, think it through. It's not a decision you're just going to make instantly. You got to talk through it. You got to figure out what you're going to do, contingency plans, things like that. But I don't know how much this game should impact.
Yeah.
Especially for the coaches, maybe for the GM, because it's very different if you have the 1st overall pick or the 4th overall pick. Like, you're talking about 2 incredibly different off seasons. It's just the reality of it. But the coaches, I think that the hay's in the barn there. It's just a matter of the Crafts making their decision, which I understand if they're still making, they have time to still make. They really have until I would say Monday. I think you need to make a decision Monday. I think you need to make the decision public by Monday night.
Monday night,
One way or
Black
the other.
Monday.
Yeah, I think even
That's
if
when
Mayo's staying, we should get one of those statements that's like, tell us what you're doing, tell us what you're thinking. Don't let that linger.
when was the OG original statement, the offensive coordinator, and remember it was offensive. We're going to do an offensive coordinator search, and then Gerard Mayo is staying with the organization. Wasn't that on like a Wednesday, like kind of midweek?
Maybe, but that it wasn't the head coach, right?
Yeah, it's
So
different.
they still had Bill Belichick.
And
Yeah,
last year it took a while, but it's Bill Belichick, right? Like you're not just firing any other coach.
that one took longer for a reason. Yes.
Yeah. So Black Monday is
this
when this
one I
stuff.
think you got to decide because you got to get going. Like you got to, because you're gonna have to be doing interviews, and you can't let other teams get ahead of you. There's some teams that I think have known. Well, I mean, there are teams that have known, teams that already fired their coaches, the Jets, the Saints, that they are going to hit the ground rolling, and you got to get on that. If you're, and there should be a change. There should be a change. Like maybe it's not Gerard Mayo, but at the coordinator level, I've talked a lot about this. I think there needs to be a new wide receivers coach. That is like a baseline non-negotiable for me. We'll see if any defensive staffers end up going to Chapel Hill. Mike Pellegrino, Brian Belichick, are those guys going to need to be replaced? Like you got to get going on this ASAP. You can't wait around.
Yeah. I mean, we usually get the like end of season press conference from Gerard Monday morning, so
Yeah,
maybe we'll get some information then. But yeah, you gotta move quick because last year it was kind of a unique situation, and they had the the clause to just promote Gerard Mayo pretty much internally.
right.
They didn't have to do this whole big coaching search, so you got to get going if you are going to make some big changes here, which we are expecting something to happen all on this coaching staff. You don't go 3-13, 3-14, whatever it ends up being, in just running everything back.
Right.
So we'll see. But any last thoughts on this Bills at Patriots game? Can they lose to a Mitch Trubisky led backup Buffalo Bills team?
Certainly. With this defense, absolutely.
Yeah. They almost lost to Mitch last year when he was with Pittsburgh. So
they did. You're right.
Maybe he's got some magic left in him, but we can't, because of all the uncertainty, we can't do a Patriots Bills prize picks lineup currently. But if we want to go through,
they don't have Drake May on there.
Not yet. So, but
they don't have anything for that game.
No, it's literally nothing yet for that game.
All right. Well, let's go through. We got Mac Jones.
We can look at some Patriots backup quarterbacks, and then maybe we can throw something together before the game and tweet it out. So we do have Mac Jones. He's got one line or projection 209.5 passing yards at home against the Colts. Do you like more or less there?
I think Colts are going to be, I think you're going to get an angry Colts team that coming off that loss, a motivated Colts team. I might take less there. Then again, he has been kind of playing well.
The defense did get shredded by
that's true. They got shredded by Drew Lock.
Let me see.
That's the only Mac Jones option.
Yeah. What's Mac been throwing lately?
I think he's been right around that number.
I know. Player stats, Mac Jones, game log. So he went 174 last week, but the 4 games before that, it was 247, 294, 220, and 235. So he's been over in 4 out of the last 5.
Is Brian Thomas Jr. playing?
I believe so. I don't know if they would.
He probably gets over with Brian Thomas. So,
all right, we'll do more than 209.5.
Yeah.
This is the good one. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Less.
First start of the. I mean, more than half an interception. He's got.
Does he play long enough to throw a pick?
198.5 pass yards. More or less than that, or more. You're not going to do more than 1.5 pass touchdowns. You're definitely not going to do that one. So you're between 198.5 pass yards or half an interception.
Why not less on touchdowns?
They don't have it's 1.5, so it's like the boost, so you can only go more.
Oh, okay. All right. How many interceptions was it? Half or 1.5?
Just half, so he'd only have to throw 1.
Yeah, he'll probably throw a pick. I would say so.
Seattle, they're not playing for anything, but they're probably playing their starters here. I don't know if they'll have They don't have Bailey Zappi yet.
Yeah, that just got
Unfortunately,
announced today.
He just got announced. So,
well, is there anything for the who are they playing? The Steelers defense?
oh yeah, let me see if I don't know if they do like full defensive projections. Najee Harris, Pat Fryermuth, Russell Wilson. No, nothing for Steelers defense yet.
I guess we can't do that then.
No other former players we like, Patriots players.
I mean, for quarterbacks, not really. Let me pull up the schedule. See
Oh,
what
I
else
mean,
would be funny.
is Juju gonna play a lot with the Chiefs backups?
Oh, maybe. They kind of need him. He's kind of an important player for them, though.
They don't even have a projection for him.
How about Saquon's not playing? We know that.
I'm trying to even
I guess we
think of
probably should take something in Vikings Lions, right? That's a big game.
just because it's a big game.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell too. It fits the mold.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Justin Jefferson. Are we thinking quarterbacks only?
Yeah, let's keep that a theme.
All right. So Sam Darnold, he's got 11 and a half rush yards, 280 and a half pass yards,
Ooh,
2.5 touchdowns, more than half a rush plus receiving touchdown.
That's a lot of yards. Then again, the Lions defense has not been playing well.
Yeah, they've been getting shredded.
Should we go more on that?
280 and a half or 11 and a half rush yards. Has he been running I mean,
he doesn't run a ton. I don't picture him running a ton.
That can only be one scramble, but like still,
you want to go less on that?
It would have to be one run, right? Let's pull up Sam Darnold's game log here. Yeah, he's got 11. The last month, he's got 11 yards once on the dot. So
do we want to say less than?
Less than the rush yards or more than the pass yards?
Let's do less than the rush yards.
Less than the rush yards. All right.
We have like a 50-yard touchdown. I got one more for you. If we're keeping it with Patriots former backup quarterbacks, why don't we do the Falcons and Zach Robinson?
True. Michael Penix. Good to get him.
Yeah, what do we have for Penix? And then I think we need one more after this, right? I know we can close it with.
Well, this would be 4, so we could hold 2 spots and update it with Bailey Zappi. And
no, I got one more I want to do on the Patriots quarterback theme. But let's figure this out first.
Penix is 222 and a half pass yards or 1.5 pass touchdowns, more or less.
They're going to be thrown in the red zone. I like this is a big game. Yeah, this is a big game for them. Let's go pass yards.
Pass yards more than 222 and a half.
Yeah.
All right, and who's the last one you got here?
Do we want to include the Raiders for Brady, or do we just want to keep it to backups?
We could. Yeah.
Because we want to leave one spot open for Zappi. Oh, and you want to leave one spot open for the Patriots game.
Do you want to leave one open for the Patriots? We probably should leave one open for the Patriots game, right?
But we're not going to be able to do a quarterback because they might not even put numbers up for the quarterbacks because of the uncertainty. All right, so let's get Brady in here.
Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah.
He's got one projection up.
Yeah.
226 and a half pass yards at home against the Los Angeles Chargers, who aren't playing for seeding. Are they locked into their seed? I think so.
Let me see here.
Or it wouldn't be a major shift for them one way or another. So 200.
Yeah, but it's Harbaugh, so I could still see them going like full go.
Going all out. So 226 and a half pass yards for Aiden O'Connell.
I might go less on that. He's really kind of fallen off here late in the season.
Yeah. All right.
They're playing for seed. I mean, maybe. It depends what happens Saturday.
All right.
No, I think they'll be playing for seeding no matter what.
All right. So we'll go less than that. Good Chargers defense, as we saw firsthand last year. So we got 5 picks in right now. We'll update it with Bailey Zappi. So we have the full Patriots backup quarterback lineup, whatever you want to call it. And that includes Mac Jones, more than 209.5 pass yards. Jimmy Garoppolo, more than half an interception. Sam Darnold, coached by Kevin O'Connell, less than 11.5 rush yards. Michael Penix, coached by Zach Robinson, more than 222.5 pass yards. And Aiden O'Connell, whose team is minority owned by Tom Brady, less than 226.5 passing yards. We'll add Bailey Zappi. We'll tweet that out on, he plays Saturday. So we'll tweet that out on Saturday. If you don't want to include Zappy and just want to do those 5 on Sunday, right now it's a 15-time multiplier. So $20 entry fee wins 300. You can use the code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. So if you want to put just $5 on that hand, you win 75, and then you get the $50 instantly. If you want to put 50, you win 750. And we do have our lineup protection. Get 4 of 5 correct picks, and you get your money back. We'll see it with the odds. Probably will go up to 25x when we put Bailey Zappi in there. But that will be our Patriots backup quarterback lineup. Again, we'll tweet that out. If you guys want to play along with us, you can download Prize Picks and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup on Prize Picks, where you can win up to 1,000 times your money all season long, even in the playoffs. Tons of playoff action, even though the Patriots won't be included going forward. And make sure you guys run your game on Prize Picks all season long. All right. That was fun. Good Patriots backup quarterback talk right there. Way to put a lineup together there with no Patriots players even on the app. So let's talk some college football. Let's talk some draft. Patriots still in the number 1 overall pick. A loss this week secures that. And we had 3 college football games over the past few days. Started with Penn State, Boise State was the first one. Penn State. We finally got some competitive games, which was nice until that Rose Bowl yesterday. But Penn State, Boise State. Have you recovered from Ashton Genty getting kind of shut down there against one of the first?
I mean, he had 100 yards against one of the best defensive fronts in college football. And I was saying all year to people who were like, oh, well, how much is he really doing? It's bad opponents. It seems like he always has room. He was making room. The crazy thing about Ashton Genty, usually when a running back's elite, the offensive line's elite, that Boise offensive line wasn't even just fine. Like, that was a bad line. He had 100 yards, but I think it was like 80-something after contact. His contact balance is still elite. I thought he was fine for what that game was. You also had Penn State keying in on him. I mean, they wanted Maddox Madden throwing the ball. They
stacked the box, yeah.
Right, every single snap. And I will say, before he got hurt, Abdul Carter was awesome.
He had that left tackle in hell. Like, he started the game with a mean bull rush. He put the guy, I thought he was going to fall on his ass. And then he comes back with, the swim move around the edge. And then the clip that was going all over Twitter yesterday where he's pulling around on the stunt. Like, that dude has some juice. He is awesome. He's definitely, if you're talking, I don't know about first overall, but if you're sliding back to maybe the Giants in that 4 range, like, he is definitely someone that we're going to be talking a lot about. And, with our mock drafts, probably picking a couple times in that range because he's an awesome pass rusher.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be in the conversation for the Patriots, and he'll have another chance. They're facing, they get the winner of this game now, right?
I believe so. Yeah, they'll get this game.
This will be, there'll be another good test for him.
Yep. If he plays, hopefully. Has there been an injury update on him? He left early.
I haven't seen one. I feel like Kelvin Banks got hurt too. Like, I feel like all the top guys are getting hurt.
And it wasn't in the playoff, but the bowl game, Jahad Campbell got hurt. Like, it was him and Abdul Carter the same day. They both left with like a wrap on their left shoulder. So hopefully nothing. Yeah. I haven't seen an injury update, but hopefully nothing serious, and we get some more Abdul Carter in the playoff because he is very fun to watch. The other big Penn State guy who I feel like has been making some rounds in Patriots Twitter draft world, Tyler Warren, their tight end, another good game. Are you interested? Maybe, you can't get the wide receiver you want, so you say, okay, we're going to get maybe the best pass catcher available whenever that pick is, and it ends up being a tight end. And Tyler Warren, is that something that interests you with, he's maybe the best tight end in this class?
Yeah, I mean, like, he interests me as a player. I think he's a really good player. I think he's a really good prospect. I'm a big fan of his. As I've said, I don't really want their big addition as a pass catcher coming through the draft. I want it to be a veteran. Now, if they add a guy like DK Metcalf or T. Higgins, I could maybe be swayed. But the other thing is, I just don't know how the Patriots end up with him, because I think he's going to be a top 20 pick. I think he's going to go in somewhere in that 15 to 20 range. So you're not trading down that far from one. You shouldn't be trading down that far from one. But that's also a pretty sizable move up from 34, 35, 36, whatever it ends up being. So I just don't see how they land him. He's just not really in their range unless they get like insanely creative. So love the player. I'm not totally getting my hopes up for him with the Patriots though, because it's tough to see how that one happens.
Yeah, because he might go like middle of the like a lot of teams look at it. The Colts who are
Right.
right around like 12, 13, and then the
Right.
Chargers who are going to be a little lower, but you're going to have to move up like maybe mid like that late teens or mid teens to get him. That's
You're
where
now probably in a spot where you're gonna have to give up a future first to do it.
yeah, and
And that's
that
just
like
not worth
and
it.
if you're moving down, that's like you are you going to turn around and basically give out your whole haul to move back up and get Tyler Warren? Like that's I don't know if you're gonna pull that. So again, great
Right.
player. Like I would love him if he falls to like 34 or whatever it is. I would be all in on him, but it does seem like he's in kind of a weird range right now for the Patriots. So we'll see with that. Did anything else from that Penn State game kind of stand out to you, or if you want to transition to the games we saw yesterday with Texas, Arizona State, Cam Scattaboo, and then the Rose Bowl, Ohio State, Oregon?
Yeah, I think we can move on to that.
So are you all scatterbooed up or what's going on?
I want him here. I
Really? You're
want
just
him
in?
here. Now look, obviously realistic. Yeah, I'm not reaching for him, and he's a guy that maybe uh one of the Harbaughs or Dan Campbell jumps up into the top 100 to get because it's their kind of guy. But the Patriots need edge. They need that kind of old school mentality. I don't think he's a lead back, but I think he can be a good spell back, a good goal line, short yardage back, where they've obviously struggled to run the ball this year. Probably guys going to have some special teams upside as well, and just can be a core member of the locker room. So I loved what I saw from him. He's 23 years old. He doesn't have that elite athleticism, and it's a deep running back class. So that, puts a cap on him as a prospect. But there's certain guys you look at and it's just like, I'll find a role for that guy, get him on my team because he's going to add an intangible that is valuable. And he's one of those guys to me.
Where do you think he's gonna go? Like early day 3, or will he sneak into end of day 2?
No, I think maybe he sneaks into the end of day 2 again if like one of the Harbaughs sees it and gets all excited. But my guess is he's somewhere like 4th, 5th round. That's
4th
probably where
round.
he should go. Yeah. It
Yeah.
reminds me, we were talking about this in the locker room, like Tip Raymond last year, right? The tight end from Illinois, who just objectively looking at the film, like blocking tight end, pretty raw, not going to contribute much on offense, but he has good combine. You hear people rave about, how he is a teammate like that. And then suddenly Seattle jumps up and takes him like in the 70s. We thought he was going to go like 50 picks after that. So maybe it's something like that, but it's going to be about the intangibles with him. It's going to be about how well he interviews, because there's a lot to like on tape, but he doesn't have the athleticism I think teams are going to look for in a top 100 running back.
Yeah. He seems like he'll be a really good number 2 and like a
Yeah.
compliment to like if you told me Dan Campbell took him and then in 1 year or he replaces David Montgomery as like the compliment to Jahmyr Gibbs, like
Right.
more of that bruiser downhill, like that feels like a perfect
So
kind of
I also
fit.
think he's a pretty good pass catcher too. He could
Yeah.
be used in like a use check type role. So this is kind of a weird comp. Obviously, everybody has the Mike Allstott comp. Keep in mind, like, he does look like Mike Allstott when he runs. He's, thick, low to the ground. The contact balance is off the charts. Like, visually, he looks like Mike Allstott when he runs. Keep in mind, he's like 3 inches and I think 40 pounds lighter than Mike Allstott was, if I'm
Is he
remembering
really?
correctly. Yeah, Mike Allstott was a tank, dude. So Scattaboo, like last year, the coaches told him he had to lose weight. and that if he wanted to be a bigger
Yeah.
part of the offense, he had to get in better shape. So he's listed at 5'11", 215. He's probably bigger than that.
He looks bigger than
But
215, definitely.
Mike Allstott was 6'1", 250.
He's not, yeah,
So
he's not 250. He's definitely not 250.
So I'm going to give you another body type, another comp, and it's not the same body type again, but I kind of see some similarities. How about Mike Tolbert, who was 5'9", 260? Mike Tolbert was a tank, but
Yeah.
like he could sneaky catch the ball a little bit, good change of pace back, kind of pain in the ass to tackle. Mike Tolbert caught 54 passes in 2011.
And they had the who was their compliment to him? Williams, something Williams.
D'Angelo Williams, yeah.
D'Angelo Williams, like the little speedy back, right? Like who you can get on the outside. Like that's kind of feels like the role. You can pair him with kind of a speedier back. So
And they had him with Ryan Williams in San Diego, so.
exactly. So man,
Not Ryan Williams, Ryan Matthews.
Ryan Matthews. I thought he was going to be awesome. Ryan Matthews.
So that's I get the All-Star comp. I see where that's coming from. I hold Mike Allstott in too high regard to just comp random college players to him. That's like if you listen to Catch 22, Evan won't compare anybody to Mike Evans because he thinks it's unfair to Mike Evans. That's kind of how I am with Mike Allstott. I'm not going to just compare anybody to Mike. I'm not comparing anybody to Buccaneers players named Mike, but yeah, it more of a Mike Tolbert kind of thing for me.
I like it. Anything with Texas? I mean, you mentioned Kelvin Banks got hurt.
I thought Banks played a good game. He came back a little shaky after the injury, but I thought for the most part, I liked what I saw from him. Where were you on Isaiah Bond? Were you in on him or no?
Not especially.
So I was
mean,
out on Isaiah
Bond. Yeah, I wasn't completely out, but he wasn't,
I just think we just did Tyquan Thornton, right? Why do that again? Is Matthew Golden a better prospect? He's not rated higher right now, but I think I like Matthew Golden better than I like Isaiah Bond.
Yeah,
I doesn't have that. Yeah, he doesn't have that elite level speed Bond does, but he does so many other things better. He's better route runner, better at the catch point. He's bigger. Like he's not big, but like he's 6'1", 195. He's not a guy you're gonna have questions about him holding up physically in the NFL. So we'll see if he comes out. He's a junior. If he stays, he's probably a first round pick next year. This year, he may end up being day 2, early day 3. So he's a guy like he could go either way. Really, I'm on the fence with that. But if he comes out, like that's a guy you take him at the top of the 4th round. I think that could be a really good pick for the Patriots.
Yeah, and you can move him around. Like he's probably not going to live on the outside, but he can play the outside. You can move him inside.
He can be a Z in what their system is.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. Yeah. So I mean, he put up like 160 against Georgia in that wasn't the SEC championship, right? That was their.
He had a big game in both of them, didn't he?
That might have been the SEC championship. 160 against Georgia, and then he had like 150 in the game-tying touchdown in overtime yesterday against Arizona State, and now he's going to get Ohio State, so he can keep building this resume. And I wouldn't be surprised if he decides to come out and he's a top, 7-8 receiver if he keeps playing like this. Oh, we didn't mention this with. Oh, you can go.
I was going to say I like Gunnar Helm too for the Patriots.
Yeah.
Day 3 tight end.
He's a good player. We didn't mention that with Penn State. Do you think Drew Aller is going to come out if he keeps this kind of surge up?
He might. I like with him, I've given this take with Will Howard. Like some team just looks the part, right? Central casting quarterback is going to talk themselves into him. The Jets talking themselves into Will Howard in the top 5 would be just so Jets. Aller has more upside. I don't think his floor is as high right now. That was the first time I've seen him like make plays in a big game. He's really bad when Ohio State went to Penn State this year. Now, look, I'm generally not
championship. The Big Ten championship.
Big Ten championship, sure. I'm generally a little more uneasy with those kinds of quarterbacks. Drake May being an exception, but I don't think he's nearly as polished as Drake May was, and he's older than if you're going to be that kind of player, I need to see more polish at a certain age, and he doesn't have that. He's kind of like a worse Anthony Richardson to me. Now, there's obviously a skill set there that NFL teams covet. Next year's quarterback class is Arch Manning aside, next year's quarterbacks class is worse than this one. So there's definitely incentive for Aller to stay if he gets a good deal from Penn State to stay. But if he comes out, he's probably a late first, early second round pick kind of guy. I don't think he impacts the first overall pick trait. Maybe if the Patriots want to move back from like 33, 34, then you start talking about Drew Aller, kind of a Will Levis kind of move. That's another good comp for Aller, but I don't think he's in like the top 10 conversation. There's just not enough good football on tape with him yet.
Well, I'd imagine if he comes out, it's because he has a great game against like Notre Dame, and then in the national championship, he has a really good game. So I don't know. I could see like he'd probably be QB3 in this class if he came out behind Shador and Cam Ward. Like he's better than who's QB3 right now? Jalen Milroe, who just declared today after a
not after that bowl game.
Really bad bowl game. Like,
I mean, maybe like he has to have those games though.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if he comes out, it's probably because he said he's going to go back to school. So I'm thinking if he comes out, it's after he has two really more good games of college football, and then
it means he got information that he's going to go higher than is projected. Like, Dylan Gabriel might be the next quarterback, but I don't know after that game the other day.
I think
it's crazy what happens when you're an Oregon quarterback and you can't throw 2-yard checkdowns every play.
Or when the defense plays a really good safety over the middle of the field and takes away all your little RPO offense stuff.
That's another way. We'll get to, or we can get to the Rose Bowl now. Ohio State's two best NFL prospects are not draft eligible. That's crazy. As good as that team is. Like, obviously, Jeremiah Smith, Evan's. I'm gonna have to make sure like Evan doesn't drool when he talks about Jeremiah Smith.
Did he compare him to Julio? Was he doing the Julio? Because you can't not compare anyone to Mike Evans and then turn around. Or maybe Jeremiah Smith is a little different because he is a freak. But
that's kind of what he said.
Not comparing anyone to Mike Evans and then comparing someone to Julio Jones is a lot. But Jeremiah Smith, if anyone is going to get those comparisons, like
he had another comp too. I'm trying to remember what it was. Lofty, but it wasn't Julio Mike Evans. It was like a step below that.
A recent player?
Yeah, I think so. But on it, so if you'll allow me to look ahead, 2026 big board for the Patriots, and hopefully they're not picking this high, but if they are, 2026 big board at the top for me for the Patriots, Caleb Downs.
Yep.
100%. That guy in this defense. Yeah.
He was awesome yesterday. He really just single-handedly took away like everything over the middle of the field. And Dylan Gabriel, well, I think because of that, Dylan Gabriel started not seeing the field great as the game went on and started bailing. And now Ryan Sawyer's in the backfield getting all these sacks. So like it was a mess for that Oregon offense. And I just blanked on his name. What was the safety?
Caleb Downs.
Caleb Downs was a big reason because of that. So he would be an awesome fit. If you look next year way ahead, you can start getting out of that Kyle Duggar contract. Jabril Peppers might not be around anymore, so he'll be at the top of the list. And then if we can just start trading down now so we can get all the 2027 first-round picks and either get Jeremiah Smith or throw Ryan Williams into that mix, the Bama receiver who's only 17, like fantastic. Great move if you want to do that. So those two guys are unbelievable talents.
Yeah, that team's unreal. And Ryan Day just kind of remembering he has good players. Crazy what that does. What Jeremiah Smith have 2 targets in the first half of the Michigan game. And now he's like out there, making I was floored seeing him outcoach Dan Lanning, but as I've said in relation to the Patriots quite a bit, and I think it's more true at the NFL level than it is at the college level. But we saw this yesterday. Good roster trumps all. You have a good roster, you're going to be in great shape. And Ohio State is the best roster in college football.
Yep. Well, how about the receiver who might actually be on the Patriots' radar this year, Emeka Egbuka, who I've loved him for a long time. He's been at Ohio State for a long time, but he's always been in the shadow of like Marvin Harrison Jr. or now Jeremiah Smith, but he's just always kind of there in that number 2 role. He's always very consistent, kind of has a little bit of that, JSN, another former Ohio State receiver who he came after. So are you liking Emeka Egbuka as maybe someone who's falls to you at the top of the second round, or maybe, you get a little aggressive and move up to get him late in the first round there?
First off, Evan's comp was Jamar Chase for Jeremiah
Smith.
No, for Jeremiah Smith.
Okay.
He said Jeremiah Smith's bigger, but they move the same way, which, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Movement wise, definitely.
Yeah.
I thought you
For
meant for
no,
Ibuka there. I was like,
no,
what?
for Ibuka, honestly, my comp for him is like a better version of what Jalen Polk was supposed to be. He's a
Yeah.
chain moving Z receiver. I guess JSN would be another comp that feels a little lazy. I'll say the same thing I said about Matthew Golden. I think he's a better player than Matthew Golden, but it's kind of the same idea. If the Patriots go out and get DK Metcalf or T. Higgins, and then you're adding this rookie with coverage protection, yeah, I think Igbuka's, for what he is a good player. I think he's definitely a better player than Polk. You're probably going to end up getting him about the same range, oddly enough, but as a better player than Polk for that role. And I know he's second round pick, but for what Jalen Polk showed this year, I have no qualms drafting his replacement a year in. But if he's their biggest addition at receiver, they didn't do enough. Because the one thing that bothers me about Ibuka, he's a chain mover. He's not explosive. He's not a big play generator. They have Hunter Henry, who can move the chains. They have Pop Douglas, who in theory should be able to move the chains. Maybe not at as high of a level, but they can do that. Antonio Gibson in the pass game can be a chain mover. They need a big play threat, and Ibuka's not that. He's good at what he does, but for their big wide receiver addition, the Patriots need to aim a little higher than what Emeka Egbuka does. I'd say the same thing for Golden, too. I know I just raved about him, and I'm dumping all over this guy. It's the same thing. I mean, Golden is more of a big play threat, but it's that you need a guy that's been there, proven he can do it, and has done it in this league. And if you want to add a rookie to that, fine. But that can't be their only wide receiver addition.
I think he can be a big play threat. He's just not he's not the most explosive player. And I know we just said he's not the most explosive, and he's kind of like Jalen Polk, which is going to scare everyone. Now he's more explosive than Jalen Polk.
He's more explosive than Polk, but no, they need
get open much better. Like he can separate. He's not Polk who's playing through contact. Like he can separate. He's a little bit more explosive, but he is kind of like this physical Z receiver, which
right,
is
but like does JSN create big plays because JSN creates big plays, or does JSN create big plays because teams are worried about DK Metcalf on the other side?
Yeah, I agree with you there. Like if you get a Ibuka, you need the guy on the outside who now you're seeing with Seattle. Like, are they playing their safety over DK Metcalf, and that's opening up the middle of the field for JSN. So if you get your guy, if it's T. Higgins on the outside and now you have Ibuka in the middle, like I think that would be
like that. You can sell me on that, but you can't tell me Emeka Ibuka alone is going to fix their passing game because he's not.
Yeah, 100%. But
I don't know if there's frankly, I don't think there's any player in this draft that's going to single-handedly fix their passing game.
No, probably not.
It's T. Higgins and DK Metcalf. Those are the guys that are going to fix it, and then you add those other guys in to help.
Yeah. But
honestly, you know who fixes their pass game the most is Kelvin Banks, because you actually have time for routes developing down the field
to throw the ball. Yeah, definitely.
Right.
But anything else? Ohio State, Oregon. I didn't really get to watch.
Do you have the game on?
Yeah, something.
That was a brutal drop by Georgia. That was an all-time bad drop.
10 right now. You might be a little ahead of me. Let's see.
Come on, that hurts. As somebody who's Georgia -2.5, that hurts.
Great podcasting right here, but let's fake it. Gunnar Stockton, drop back. Oh, he's going deep. Oh, that was really bad.
No.
That was really bad.
Bell always says it's always more fun to do the show when there's a game on.
Yeah, Bell, he's draftable too, isn't he? Or is he next year?
After that, I don't know.
Yeah, after that, probably not. But
Pat, that's a great catch.
Was it Bell? Right. You're ahead of me.
No, it wasn't Bell. It wasn't Bell. Somebody else.
But Rose Bowl. Anything else? I didn't really get to single out Josh Connerly, the Oregon left tackle. Who that's going to be someone else we're talking about. Their second pick. We'll have a lot of film to watch when we go back because they threw the ball.
We'll have time to get to him. Yeah,
they threw the ball 40 yards. Ooh, that was a good catch. But
Don't sleep on those Ohio State running backs. I still think running backs a need for the Patriots. Judkins might go too high for them. Travion Henderson would be a cool player for them to pick up. I think he could do some stuff for them. So they both had good games, obviously. Don't sleep on those running backs. That'd be my take. Oh,
Yeah,
and I think at
Henderson
this
can
point,
fly.
Ryan Day's job is safe. So the Brian Hartline pipe dream is over, at least for this year.
Damn. Wes Welker it is. Wes Welker it is.
I take Wes Welker. I would absolutely take Wes Welker. They need new wide receivers coach. I'd absolutely take Wes Welker. Wes
Yep.
Welker, Chad O'Shea. That's probably who we're talking about realistically.
I wonder if Welker, Miami, like if Tyreek Hill's starting to get older and
Yeah,
he hints at retirement, I feel like on Twitter every day. Like I wonder if Welker maybe is ready to get out of there soon anyway.
maybe.
So that would be interesting. Last college football playoff thing I have to ask you, and
Yeah,
kind of relevant for the Patriots because they
yeah.
might be in this market. Rough day, rough couple day for the kickers. Jonah
Yes.
Dallas, not great. We all saw Auburn yesterday in the Texas game, just missing all of the kicks down the stretch. Whatever Sark told them before he went out there did not work at all.
Did not
But
work.
any kicker takes there because it wasn't a good day from maybe two. Were they two of the two top kickers entering the drafts?
There's not a ton of consensus on the kickers. There usually isn't at this point. That'll come later on. They were two of my top kickers, I'll tell you that. Dalmas especially because for the Patriots, kicking out in the cold up in the Rockies and in the Mountain West. I liked him. I never really liked Bert Auburn to begin with. But yeah,
Me neither.
they're up there, and there's not that many kickers with experience in inclement weather. I mean, Dominic Zavada's going back to school. The other top kickers looking at the board: Florida State, Texas A&M, Clemson, Auburn. You do have a Virginia Tech guy. The Patriots already have two Virginia Tech kickers. Could make it a third in John Love. Texas, North Carolina A&T, and Ole Miss. So if you want a inclement weather kicker, you're probably going to have to go to the free agency market.
We're doing kickers again, baby. We are doing kickers again. Fun stuff.
It does feel
fun
like
stuff.
it.
Yep. All right. Anything else from the college football playoff or any other number one overall draft pick takes you haven't been able to get off your chest on any of the 12
just
shows
the
you've
big
done in
picture
the last
take.
12?
Yeah, just the big picture take, and we didn't really touch on it exactly. I don't think the Patriots need the first overall pick to have the offseason they have to have this year. It'd be nice. It would help. They don't need it. What the first overall pick is really about is 2026, because the first thing you should be asking for at the Patriots, a non-starter for me with any deal, and I know people are down on this draft class and maybe they'll get less than people think, but you should be getting a first rounder in 2026. That's non-negotiable. Even if that's the whole trade, we're going to flip first and I'm going to get your first next year. I might do that at that. Like, that's enough for me to get it done. I'd like more, but let's say you're moving down to 4 or 5. If it's just a future first, I would probably do that. This is about the 2026 offseason. And that's the value in that pick for me. But I think they should be looking to trade down. Get what you can get. I think they're going to get more than people think. It may not be as much as, the Panthers got, or it may not be as much as the Bears got. I would also note that year they moved down to 9. I would not move down that far from the Patriots. And obviously, moving to 4 or 5 is a lot different than moving to 9. You're going to get less, but it's all about the future assets. That's what this is about.
Is it crazy? And I agree with you. Like, obviously, the number one pick is ideal because it gives you more options and avenues that you can explore, but you want to get future assets. Is it crazy, like, if a team's hesitant to give up a 2026 first to ask for a 2027 first with those receivers in mind, or are we just getting way ahead of ourselves at that point?
It's not a bad idea, but if you're Elliott Wolf and you don't know where your job security's at, there's a real chance you're not making that pick. And you may say, no, I need things that will help me in the shorter term. Maybe if they move on from Elliott Wolf and it's a new GM, it's another story there, but I wouldn't hate that. I also don't think that is something that they would be interested in.
Ideally, it would be like if you go to the Giants and say, you give me 4, you give me 39 or whatever their second pick is. And then if they're like, okay, we don't want to give you our 2026 first, but maybe we'll throw in our 2027 first, right? So now you're getting 2 top 40 picks this year.
If it's the Giants on the phone, I'm picking up the phone and just playing the clip of Joe Shane last year, not giving up any more for Drake May. And look, the Patriots were right to just hang up the phone and not try out that negotiation. They absolutely were. But that clip when they do the obituary on Joe Shane's career in probably a couple of days, if we're being honest, the obituary is going to be the Saquon Barkley clip and then that. And also that's why no team should ever do offseason hard knocks. That was brutal. But like, I would be all right. You didn't give us enough last year. Your guy didn't give us enough last year, and it cost him his job. We're not going to be lowballed. You want to save your job? Prove it. That would be, and I would say the same to any other team. Look at what happened in New York last year. Look at the cost of not making this deal. It's a rare thing with quarterbacks. There is a cost in not making a trade as much as there is in making it. And I would remind teams of that if I'm the Patriots. That would be front of mind. Do you want your future? Yes or no? Next year's class sucks. You still going to be around in 2027 to draft your quarterback? Or do you want to, you believe in Cam Ward, you believe in Shedeur Sanders, come get him. That kind of thing. So I went on a bigger rant about this on Catch 22 that I'm trying to remember some of, but you are a reasonable person, Brian, and you're not giving me the pushback I need to get there, which I say complimentary. You're not thinking that J.J. McCarthy with a bum knee is somehow worth more than Shedeur Sanders. But
that'll be interesting what he goes for.
So
I know Schefter said a first plus. I think some team might give up a first for JJ, but
it depends on the first. Like if it's the Giants, it's probably just that. If we're talking about
if you're later on,
right? The Saints are sitting there at 10 now. It's probably first plus. If I'm the Patriots, now you want to move the first. This is not a draft night trade. You want to get this done. If not, this is probably free agency, very early in free agency.
I was gonna say probably like a week or two in the free agency because one of these teams is probably gonna take a shot on if Sam Darnold hits the open market, or they're gonna try to find their next Sam Darnold. So that's where this is like we're really gonna be able to narrow down some of these trade down teams. Because say, okay, Sam Darnold goes to the Giants. Who else is even out there? Justin Fields goes to the Raiders. They're gonna try this, and now we say, okay, well the Jets need a quarterback. And the Titans need a quarterback. They didn't get a veteran. So you're going to be able to kind of narrow it down. And then maybe hopefully those teams get a little bit more aggressive. And that's when you get this bidding war where, hopefully they like Shedeur Sanders and they like Cam Ward enough where they want to bid and they get up there. And maybe these GMs say, okay, we missed Sam Darnold in the open market. Now we have to do something. We have to pivot. And that's when we get aggressive. And that's when we get getting teams stupid. And that's where hopefully all of these future picks come calling in on Elliott Wolf's phone.
Yeah, that's why I'd wait and especially let the Vikings make their decision first, because that's going to dictate a lot of the market. Let JJ McCarthy get traded or Sam Darnold signed, and then I'd look to move that pick after that.
Yep. I was trying to look up. Do you remember when the Bears traded with the Panthers? It was
right around free agency. It was either right before
March,
or after.
March 10th. So yeah, that's
right before.
Pretty much right.
Well, we know what the combine is. Like those conversations are going to be had at the combine. So you're probably looking at, within a month of that.
Definitely. All right. So I think that will do it. Again, Bills at Patriots at Gillette Stadium on Sunday. If you guys want to go to that game, make sure you are using the Game Time app. $38 is the cheapest get-in price right now, or you can get some Game Time picks super deals, $61 to move right down to the first level there at Gillette Stadium. And the playoffs start soon, so I know there won't be any playoff games at Gillette, but we have listeners all over the place. So if there are playoff games near you, whether it's the NFL or the college football playoff, 3 more college football games after this in the playoffs. So make sure you guys are getting your tickets with Game Time and use Game Time Picks that filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying your tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Game time.
All right. So that's it. Our last, I guess that was our Week 18 preview as well. Our last game preview of the season. Thank you guys for following along with us. Hopefully we can get a little bit better game previews to look forward to next year, but our next show will be the off season, and that is when the fun starts on this show. And it should be hopefully a fun and exciting off season for the Patriots. So we will be back next week. We'll talk a little bit about week 18, and maybe we'll have some clarity on what's going on with the coaching staff. In the meantime, you can follow Barth on Twitter at RealAlexBarth. Head over to 985thesportshub.com to read his coverage over there. And you can follow me on Twitter at I am Brian Hines, and head over to patspulpit.com to read our written Patriots coverage online there as well. So thank you everyone for tuning in with us tonight, and we will see you guys next week.